Hey there, Earthlings. Thanks for tuning in to the Bardo Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Bardo, where we talk about health, happiness, and anything else that's important to us humans. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast by visiting thebardo.com or just click the little subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast. And be sure to check out my Instagram at thebardo for all the latest videos and content. Thanks so much and enjoy the episode.
You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you? We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gents, what's going on? If you're watching me on YouTube, you could definitely see I'm in the hospital. I look like shit. Sorry. But I wanted to, a lot of people probably think, well, why would you do a podcast when you're in the hospital? And I would say to those people, well, if you know me, you know that I love doing the podcast, and I haven't done one in almost 2 weeks. And I started the podcast to kind of like a journal to express how I feel, and I've been feeling a lot last couple days, got a lot going through my head, and frankly I'm just bored of watching the same repeat of movies that's on here. And as much as I love The Office, it's on repeat on Comedy Central, so I don't know if I can handle just laying in a bed. It's bad enough I gotta stay in this bed and I can't get outside and be active. So last thing I wanted to do is just stay on my ass and be depressed. I wanted to get out, and I'm in this little recliner now and just kind of trying to stand up because usually when I lie down, I start coughing a lot more, and it gets a little shitty. So if you don't know, I for about 2 weeks now, I was super, super sick. I got back from Kentucky for work, and I was feeling fine for a couple days. And then, I don't know, maybe like 2 Wednesdays ago, so 2 weeks ago, I started just getting like flu-like symptoms, right? So, of course, naturally nowadays you think it's COVID. So I got a COVID test for the next day that came back negative. No Rona, so that's positive. And then they also tested me for like flu and strep and things like that. I just did that like at CVS. And then I ended up just taking Tylenol and trying to fight through it. Well, long story short, about 8 days go by, and it wasn't getting any better. So I went to urgent care, and they did a X-ray on me, and turns out I have pneumonia. So they gave me some antibiotics for a week, and I took those for about 5 days, 4 or 5 days, and it felt like it was getting worse. It wasn't getting any better. So I went back to urgent care, called them up and said, hey, I think you guys need to do another X-ray because something's wrong. Like, I went, almost 2 weeks of having a fever of 102 degrees every single day. And at night I was like drenched. And I've had, flu-like symptoms before. I mean, this was way different. Like, it was at the point where, it looked like it was a sweat massacre in that bed. And this whole time, of course, I'm sleeping at the guest room because I'm trying to keep my distance from my wife, right? Because I didn't know what it was. I mean, they say pneumonia, but who knows? It could be something else. So kept my distance anyway. But I ended up going back to urgent care and told them all this, and they did another X-ray, and they go, "Oh, yeah, it's gotten worse. We need to take you to the ER." So then they told me to go to the ER right afterwards, so they could do a CT scan, which is a little bit more in depth. And that CT scan I did this past Friday, and they admitted me to the hospital because they saw a growth in my right lung. They don't really know what it is. The I mean, the doctors are pretty one doctor's kind of optimistic, and then you have like the other doctor's like good cop bad cop thing, and then one doctor's like, yeah, it's if you didn't come here in 6 months, you might not have made it, like that type of doctor. So I definitely broke down after he told me that. That was like the pessimistic doctor. And I know when they look at the CT scan, it's still, you don't really know what it is. So they just see a growth and they see pneumonia around it. So naturally they're like, well, I mean, this is a young kid. There's really only one option, right? It's either, it could be nothing serious, or it could be, something serious. So they gave me both options, but they said most likely it's a tumor or a growth in my lung, but could be something minor. Which, isn't it so fucking weird with doctors? Like, how do they I don't know, how do you have those conversations? It's so strange that they can say that. Oh, it could be a tumor, but it might not be. We don't know. Anyway, that was Friday, so I've been sitting with that for today's Sunday. So for 2 days, and then the doctor just came in this morning and told me, all right, well, he's a lung specialist. He's a lung specialist, and he said we're going to schedule it for Monday morning between like 7 and 11, and we're going to take a scope down there. Forget what it's called, but they're going to take a scope, go down, check out what's going on in the lung, and then take a biopsy if needed, or if they got to do something else, they can suck something out. Apparently, it's like a multi-function Swiss Army knife of a scope. So that's Monday. That's tomorrow. My symptoms are pneumonia, and they told me that I have pneumonia around this quote unquote growth. So if you haven't had pneumonia, it's pretty rough. Even without whatever I got in my lung, it's like even shortness of breath. Like, I think this is the most I've talked. I probably shouldn't even be doing this podcast, but I'm so bored. I don't want to take so much of Brenda's time. I know if it was up to her, she'd be here all day, but I don't want her to do that. Spent her weekend, doing something semi-fun, or at least, I don't know, go to Starbucks and Target and spend my money, I guess. Whatever's going to make her happy. There's no reason for both of us to be miserable. So I just wanted to do this. Yeah, pneumonia is not fun. It's flu-like symptoms, and essentially it's either a viral or a bacterial infection that it's just your body's way of fighting off, similar to the flu. But the fact that it's in the lungs is not good. Naturally, it's not good anywhere, but it's blocking some of my airways. And then of course there's this mass that apparently is in there, and that's why the antibiotics, I guess, weren't working, because it's not the problem is not necessarily the pneumonia. The problem is whatever is surrounding it. So and also doesn't help too that I got Crohn's. Some of the doctors, and if you don't know, Crohn's is it's an autoimmune disease, so naturally my immune system is like shot. That's why I try to be as healthy as I can, and even as a healthy individual, you could still get sick, and I normally don't get. That's what's funny, is I don't get sick. Like, I don't get a cold, or I don't get like a runny nose or allergies, like none of that shit. But I get this. So it's like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have like a cold a couple times a year, or like every 2 years you get something like this? Because that's what happens to me. About every like 18 months or 2 years, I get like put in the hospital for either my Crohn's or, God only knows what this shit is. An autoimmune disease like Crohn's, there's no cure for it. So I've been playing around with a lot of ways to, go through remission and solve the problem myself, because there's a lot of medicines out there that that's shown to help Crohn's patients, but mine is my Crohn's is not getting worse. 4 years ago when I was diagnosed, apparently I've had it for like years before, but it's essentially just scar tissue built up in the intestines, and that affects how your bowel movements are. And you know, um, sometimes I get so blocked up that it just shuts down, and my intestines don't work. And as you can imagine, that is not fun. Um, so I haven't really tried a lot of medicines that the doctors give me, or recommend rather, except I did do one a couple years ago, and it was Humira. You probably see those commercials all the time. Highly recommended by a lot of doctors, but unfortunately I did it, and it's an intramuscular shot. So you take a shot. I think it's like a couple times a month. I forget. I think it's either every week or every 2 weeks. Yeah, and it was fine for a couple months. I think like 6 months I was fine, and then I started getting the skin infection on my thigh, and it got so bad to where it was almost like, not to get too gross, but it was like a big hole almost in my skin, and so I went to the ER and they told me to get off Humira. And man, I was so pissed. I was so fucking pissed because that put me down for a while. And it was more annoying because I told myself that, I could fight this thing on my own, with eating and just good nutrition, and, I could manage it. And I have been. And then I ended up taking this Humira stuff. And, for some people it might work, for some people it doesn't. I don't know. So if you know someone that's on it, hey, not everyone's going to have negative reactions. But I did, so I stopped taking it. And what worries me the most about that, the reason I bring it up, is because this lung specialist says, because of that, one of the side effects of drugs like that is, you could have a higher risk of cancer and some other uh, pretty bad chronic diseases. So that worries me a little bit because of this quote unquote growth they keep talking about. And I would just go absolutely ape shit if I knew it was because of this drug. Because it's like this with a lot of stuff, right? Like that's why I think it's important that I wanted to talk about this, because not just the fact of what I'm dealing with right now, but we're all going to get sick. There's always going to be something. I got pneumonia and whatever the fuck else this is, and you got variants of COVID and all this stuff, but even still now with with everything going on, people still don't talk about how to be healthier. Like if they're not pushing that more than anything. It's just so strange to me. And, I mean, here's a good example. I pulled this up. This is from hopkinsmedicine.org, and it says diseases to fight against COVID and SARS-related diseases. Be aware of the infection rates in your area. Practice physical distancing. Wear your mask in crowded or indoor situations. Practice good hand hygiene. So wash your hands for 20 seconds. We hear about that. It says take precautions if you are living with or caring for someone who is sick or elderly. If you feel sick, follow these guidelines. So that's how to prevent COVID. And I guess that's all true from what we're told. But I mean, what's even more crazy to me is, like, this is actually from familydoctor.org, and you could find this in a lot of other space, but this just talks about overall maintaining your health. And maintaining your health is, number one is eat healthy. So, what you actually eat is closely linked to your health based off various studies. And a balanced nutrition has many, many benefits. By making healthier food choices, you can actually prevent some of You could prevent or treat some major conditions. These include heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The healthy diet can help you lose weight and lower cholesterol as well. Get regular exercise. That's another one. So exercise can also prevent heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and colon cancer. It can treat depression and high blood pressure. Lose weight if you are overweight, it says. Carrying too much weight. So carrying, like physically carrying too much weight, increases your risk for several health conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, cancers, gallbladder disease, and stroke. Another one's protect your skin. Sun exposure is linked to skin cancer. This is the most common type of cancer in the United States. It's best to limit your time in between going outside and staying indoors. Be sure to wear protective clothing and hats when you do go outside. Use sunscreen year-round, no matter the weather conditions, even on your face and hands. And the sun's a funny thing, right? Because the sun is like the thing that we need to live. Like we need vitamin D and we need the sun to keep the earth at its temperature, but it can also kill us. Like, it's terrifying. Another way to stay healthy is practice safe sex. That's a good one. Might not feel as good, but it is good. Safe sex is good for your emotional and physical health. The safest form of sex is between two people who only have sex with each other. Use protection to prevent sexual transmitted diseases, parentheses STDs. Condoms are the most effective form of prevention. Talk to a doctor if you have not got tested for STDs. Another one to stay healthy is don't smoke or use tobacco. Now, I did smoke for many years. A lot of people don't know that, which also worries me about this fucking growth in my lung. I smoked for about, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years maybe, on and off. Could be 8. But, when I was at my peak of smoking, I smoked a lot. I mean, I smoked half pack a day maybe. So, this does worry me a little bit. Even though it was so long ago, sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes things lay dormant. And, it's a little terrifying. And, my parents always told me not to and all this bullshit. And, God, it's just so weird. Like, the mental clarity I have now with everything, not just the decisions I make, but, future planning and finances and, education of the body and, all that stuff is obviously, it's disproportionately, I know way more now than I did obviously at 18. I think we all are in that boat, but I didn't go to college. I mean, I dropped out of college. So everything I learned, I either learned through reading or, through trial and error on the streets, with friends and family. And I learned a lot doing this podcast and talking to people, but God, it's so funny. Like, I just ignored so much stuff in my teens and in my 20s, thinking I was invincible. And I just think I'm paying the price for it now. And I just hope it's not too late, that I can't, I've tried for years to recover from this stuff and from my past and all that. But, yeah, it's just, it's kind of hard to swallow, because you think you do all the right things, like I'm thinking I'm doing all the right things right on a daily basis, and maybe I am. I mean, maybe if I didn't do half the stuff that I do, and for my health, like working out and doing cardio and eating right, maybe I would be in a worse spot. Maybe I wouldn't be able to handle what's happening to me right now. But it just kind of feels that every time I get up and I just keep getting pushed down, and we know that's life, right? It's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and then keep moving forward. That's what life's about, is like taking the hits. And fuck, man, I just feel like I've been taking a lot of hits these last like 5-6 years. And, I feel bad for my wife and my family because they got to deal with this shit. It's so stressful. And, I do want to thank everybody that's reached out. I should have said that from the beginning. But if you stuck it out through this podcast, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's sent me texts and, DMs and all that, wishing me a speedy recovery and, that I'm in your prayers. And that means a lot. So I thank you guys for that. And, I hope it's nothing serious. I'm trying to stay optimistic. It's hard when the doctors don't even know. They don't even know what it is, right? They're like, they're trying to stay objective and they don't want to be so matter of fact until they find out for sure. But then also becomes like, it's Monday, tomorrow, they do this thing, they figure out what it is, what if they got to go back in there, and then it's Christmas in a couple days. And they even ask me, like, how do I feel about that? And I tell them, give a shit. Like, whatever we got to do, let's just take care of it. I don't mind skipping Christmas or having Christmas here if it means that you're going to get this thing out of me, whatever it is, or if I got to recover here because it's better than at home. Christmas is just a made up holiday. We made it up. It's a fact. We do things because we made it up. Like, we buy Christmas trees because years and years and years ago, one guy decided that was going to be the symbol. And then it just got passed on from generation to generation. Same thing with, a wedding ring. Do you know that? That was invented by, I think it was the guys that started Zales, I want to say. Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, someone invented the engagement ring to show true love. It was a marketing ploy. Like, it was just a sign. And then we did it. So that's how Christmas is to me in those major holidays. I love it. I would love to spend time with family and, do stuff. But I definitely want to take care of this. And, unfortunately, they have less doctors on staff. So it's kind of, even for tomorrow, we said it was going to be a challenge a little bit to get people, but he's going to do it just to see what this is. So, I think the overall message of this is, I just want to get on here and say that even here where I feel like this is going to be, no matter what, a tough recovery. But I think you all should get out there and try to be as healthy as you can, because again, I'm very blessed that I was able to pick up a lot of knowledge in my years in the health industry, and I've been practicing good health for a long time, and I feel like I've gotten better at it. And I talk about how I got off Humira, right? Well, I'm happy to say that I haven't had a Crohn's issue where I've had to get hospitalized. Normally I would have to get hospitalized, but I haven't had one where I had to get hospitalized in quite some time. I think almost 18 months, if I remember. The only thing I had to get hospitalized for was that Humira thing, but physically for, my Crohn's, I haven't. Now, I've had attacks at home, but now they're a little bit more manageable, and I kind of know how to deal with them, where I'll just juice, or I'll just kind of lay down and just, get rest and not eat and kind of let it pass. It takes a couple days, which I'll take that over going to the hospital any day of the week, right? But I think it's important that we all get a little bit more healthy. Look at what's going on with COVID and pneumonia. I have 4 people that I know, or 4 people that have, friends of friends. But there's 4 direct people that I know that either have had pneumonia in the past year or know someone that has, and they've never had it before. And I don't want to make this a vax talk, because I got my vaccine, both of them, and I'm probably going to get the booster as well once I get out of here, or I might get it here if they offer it once my immune system ramps up again. But I I think everyone should get it if you need to get it, you know? If you feel like you need to get it, get it. I don't think there's a conspiracy theory around it by any means, but I do think we got to be a little bit careful, because somehow we're getting more illnesses, not just this pandemic, but these variants just keep coming and coming. And why do they keep coming? Well, is it because people aren't getting vaxxed? Maybe. I mean, a lot of people are vaxxed, but around the world, we're still getting a lot of different illnesses like pneumonia, and and people are getting more and more sick. Your allergies might be getting worse. And I think we just have to understand kind of science and how it works a little bit, to where sometimes when you're not exposed to things on a daily basis that our body can be used to, something like pneumonia could happen to me or to you, just because your body can't handle the common cold. And you get the common cold, and the next thing you know, it develops into a serious viral or bacterial infection, for instance, in the lungs, like what I have. And I haven't been exposed to a lot, right? Because I've been inside and I've been wearing my mask, and I haven't gone outside to associate with people as much, And believe it or not, like, that bad bacteria is sometimes good for us. It's good so our body can fight it off. There's a lot of studies, like with people who have peanut allergies, where they'll bring in kids that have peanut allergies for years, and they'll start microdosing, giving them peanuts every day. And yeah, they get little reactions here and there, but eventually now they don't have an allergy to peanuts. And the reason that is because they're just given that microdose, and their body gets used to it and figures out how to react to it. And we're not getting that anymore. Like, we're not getting that on a daily basis like we did 3 years ago. The last 2 years we've all been inside, and then when we go outside, we have to wear these masks. So we're getting covered up, and we're inhaling our own gunk, and we're not getting actual real oxygen, every single day. So I don't know, man. It's disconcerting that our government isn't focusing more on our overall well-being, and are just worried about being, reactive to these viruses instead of proactive. We have to treat the problem, because, Omicron, Delta, COVID, SARS, all these diseases, there's going to be another one next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after. But if we don't figure out the problem overall about getting this country, getting this world just healthier in general, we're going to get a lot more diseases. The answer is not, let's create a vaccine every time we get a disease and let's have everyone masked up. That's not the answer. I think if you talk to any scientists, they'll tell you that. I'm no expert, but I'm just telling you that, just from my experience and what I know about the health industry, that's not the answer. So what is the answer? I don't know. But I just know that if every single person is healthy, it's gonna help our chances of not spreading a lot of diseases. Because if you have a vast majority of the population that's unhealthy, these are the people that actually get the diseases and die from the diseases. So if we can avoid that, let's start there. Let's get people healthier first, overall. Again, I'm very blessed and very, very happy that I am as healthy as I am, because I've gone through the ringer a lot, and I'm very confident if I wasn't as healthy as I am, I'd be in a different situation right now. So I'm gonna keep fighting, and again, I'm not sure what this thing is I got, but I just hope everybody out there just knows, that I'm good, and I got a great wife. She's taking care of me, and my parents are great. My pops came to visit me the other day, and everything's fine. We're all good, and this thing tomorrow, hopefully it's nothing crazy. We'll get through it, but I'll try to keep you guys posted as much as I can. And like I said, thanks for listening, because I'm in this hospital and I'm bored out of my fucking mind. So I appreciate you guys. All right, talk to you later. Peace.